surprised to see the reaction of some of the elected officials from Washington when confronted by citizens at a recent town hall meeting around the country. They couldn't understand why the people were concerned and upset with them. What is most troubling, though, is when people spoke up and voiced their objections, they were attacked. Concerned citizens were called thugs, and the grassroots movement was described as astroturf, fake, orchestrated. I don't think that's the case.
No. Not at all.
No way.
No way. Not at all.
Have politicians become so disconnected from the people they don't understand how you could be so upset with them? Of course, it's not their money they're spending, it's yours. It seems as though a lot of elected officials just don't get it. Why is that the case? In our form of government, our elected officials are supposed to be representing the will of the people. Over in my town of Indian Trail, I've asked tough questions and questioned answers with regard to our spending priorities. That's what's made me so popular in town hall. Believe it, I believe that it's my job to make sure money is spent in ways that benefit the citizens. We see a lack of fiscal responsibility everywhere. You may have heard about the runaway spending in Washington and Raleigh. It's talked about as if spending is some out-of-control force that has a life of its own. The real issue is lack of integrity and willpower on the politicians to do the right thing. When they run for office, candidates sound great, but often something happens after they take office. I know folks wonder about this, and I'll offer my theory on it. Many candidates and politicians simply believe they know better than you do about what's got to be done and what should be done. They have the answers and they don't want or need your input. The other issue, though, is once that we take office, elected officials face pressures to conform. That pressure comes in the form of special interests, experts, and the system itself. This all works to disconnect them from the people they're supposed to be looking out for. Often there's a lack of a sense of personal responsibility to constituents, and that speaks to the character and the commitment of those who are in office. I heard someone say once that he could resist anything but temptation. It takes integrity to resist and temptation to go along with the crowd, but it always comes back to the people who vote, the people who run, and as the career people, the staff who carry out the programs and directives of the elected officials. It's all about us. We can work together on this. And what can we do? My mother used to say, you can't fight City Hall. And I used to believe that. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to fight City Hall. You can take over City Hall.
Yeah!
We shouldn't need to be fighting with City Hall because City Hall should be accountable to us. How do we affect this change? We start by demanding more from elected officials and candidates instead of settling for the usual platitudes or nice personalities, flashy presentations. I've known con men that had great personalities and flashy presentations. Truly. They weren't friends of mine, though. Look past the veneer. Look on the outside and look for substance. Ask the tough questions. Question the answers. Are they truly committed to the values that have made us a great country? Do they care about you? Are they willing to put personal agendas aside in order to serve you? Make them prove that they can be trusted with your money, your hopes and dreams. We need to demand integrity, honesty, and a commitment from our elected officials to follow through on promises made to the people. Character does count, and elected officials that don't have it will forget you when the heat is turned up, or maybe even right after the election's over. Integrity is essential in order to stand firm and not go along with political insiders or special interests that are always found and are always around to try to get a piece of your money. But this is important. When you find a candidate or true public servant who has character and will put your interests first, please support them, stand behind them. One of the worst things that can happen to someone who's in office for the right reasons is to get the sense that nobody really cares. Let them know you appreciate what they're doing and be there for them when they need you, because I guarantee you, if you do the right thing, you're going to be attacked. Government needs to be reminded it's not about what government wants, it's about what you want. The government is supposed to be working for you, not the other way around. The chasm between government and the people must be closed. I've heard officials complain that citizens don't participate. I believe they don't because when they try, no one listens. Or worse, they're treated poorly and made to feel like they don't know what they're talking about. That's why good people don't want to get involved. I believe that among our citizens we have the ability to solve any problem facing us today. Among our people we have the brain power, the new ideas, answers to current dilemmas. I believe in the people of Union County and I believe in the people of the United States of America. A couple of things I think must happen to realize this kind of the government that we deserve. Number one, the government needs to reach out and engage citizens. We need to let them know we care about what they think, what they need, and what they feel. I heard it once said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Respect for our citizens is what is lacking and what is that must change. The role of government should reach out, engage citizens, not create a wall. Citizens must participate in the voting booth. Contact your elected officials. Let them know what you think. Attend local town hall and county meetings. Educate yourself on the issues. You're the bosses. Make sure that they carry out your collective will and hold them accountable if they don't. What we're doing today here is a wonderful thing. You're sending a message. It starts here, but we can only make an enduring difference if we persist and demand accountability, fiscal responsibility from our elected officials. I've mentioned some problems in Indian Trail Town Hall, but we have some great things going on in Indian Trail. We were just named, as mentioned, as one of the best places to live in America by Family Circle magazine. I was very honored to work on that. President Obama made a great comment about this. He said the key to successful communities is the hard work and determination of the people who live there. Again, it comes back to the people. What makes our town great is the same thing that makes our country great. We the people. Family Circle had some criteria when they picked towns, and among those were great schools, families that cared about their children, were involved, volunteers, and low crime. Affordable housing. And that brings me to an example of how Indian Trail is providing quality service to our residents in a way that is physically responsible. Indian Trail is the largest municipality in North Carolina without its own police department. You might say, how can this be? You don't have one. Don't you need one? Well, we do provide law enforcement services to our citizens. We contract for our law enforcement services with the Union County Sheriff's Office, headed by our own Sheriff Eddie Cathy. He and his deputies, especially those in the Indian Trail Division office, do a great job for our town, while saving our citizens millions of dollars a year. The only thing the program lacks is more of a commitment from the town to add officers to the force and work with UCSO to develop town-specific programs. We have to be willing to think outside the box. Leadership is not defined as being like everybody else. Leadership is having the courage to find what works, setting a precedent, and being an example for others to follow. That is what leadership is, and I'm proud that our town stands out as an example in this area. I'd like to conclude my comments by referencing what may be the greatest speech ever made by a president. In the Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln said, "We're a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal." About the ceremony that day in Gettysburg, he said, "We've come to dedicate a portion of the field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that a nation might live." But he said, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate